Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. October 19th, 2017.
106 here on the great WRKO. Okay, another shoe drops on the Russia-Hillary bribery scandal. And now, my friends, for the first time, there is some real blood in the water. Okay, so let's call this Uranium 101 with Professor Kuhner. So here is now the absolute latest. As the story broke first in the Hill newspaper by John Solomon, and then it was picked up by Sarah Carter and others, we're now finding out even more and more about exactly what happened under Hillary when she was Secretary of State and the Obama administration. An American businessman who was obviously in the nuclear industry found out that Vladimir Putin and the Russian nuclear industry had compromised us here in the United States. That, in fact, they had taken over Uranium One, were now poised to get 20% of America's atomic reserve supply, the 20% uranium reserve. He personally witnessed bribery, kickbacks, money laundering, extortion, racketeering, involving not just Russians, but people within the U.S. nuclear industry that went all the way up to Secretary of State Clinton and Bill Clinton. He witnessed numerous illegal financial exchanges of money, yellow envelopes stuffed with cash, suitcases laundered with tens of thousands of dollars, and literally millions of dollars wired from Latvia, Cyprus, and other places around the world, Switzerland being another one. And so he wanted to then speak to Congress to let them know that the Russians had funneled $145 million into the Clinton Foundation in a direct quid pro quo. They had also paid Bill Clinton personally millions of dollars so that they would approve the sale of Uranium One to the Russians. They wanted it, and they wanted it now. What we've now found out is that the person who oversaw that investigation was none other than current Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. Yes, the same one who appointed Robert Mueller to investigate, listen to this, Trump for collusion with the Russians. And so, but it gets even worse. The agency tasked to oversee and approve the sale of strategic reserves that involve national security, like our atomic reserves or uranium reserves, has to be overseen by a board called CFIUS, C-F-I-U-S. Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, presided over that board. Then Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner was on the board. Eric Holder was on the board. So were FBI Director Robert Mueller and Rosenstein himself. And even though they all knew, all of them, Rosenstein, Mueller, Holder, everybody, that Hillary Clinton was personally enriching herself, she was being bribed, as well as her husband, to sell away our strategic uranium supply to the Russians, to sell us out, to sell America out to the Russians, in direct violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. They looked the other way. They deliberately turned a blind eye. While our State Department was corrupted, while our Secretary of State was corrupted, while they were literally bribed and paid off to give Vladimir Putin 20% of our uranium reserves. But here is the ultimate kicker. And that's why I'm telling you, this scandal now, there is real blood in the water. This very same FBI informant, it has now come out through his lawyer, was so shocked and disgusted by what he witnessed and the Clintons' involvement and the Obama administration's refusal to do anything about it, in fact, to deliberately turn a blind eye, to turn their back and ignore what was taking place, effectively sanctioning it. Because remember, they eventually signed off, everybody unanimously signed off on the sale of Uranium-1 to the Russians. This FBI informant begged to speak to Congress. He wanted Congress to know, and through Congress, the American people to know. He was deliberately blocked. And he was blocked specifically by Holder and by the Obama regime. And what they did was they imposed a gag order on this FBI informant, preventing him from being able to speak. And they told him, in fact, they openly threatened him, that if he was going to go to Congress, say, I don't know, to Rand Paul, to Ted Cruz, to Chuck Grassley, the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, to whoever, that he would face crippling financial penalties. In other words, he would lose his shirt, they would bankrupt him, and they would send him to jail, whereby he would lose his liberty and rot in a prison cell. They openly not just muzzled him, they threatened him and said, you're going to end up in jail. This was blatant obstruction of justice. And so all of this can now end very simply. This occurred under the Obama administration, the Obama Justice Department. They're the ones that imposed the gag order. We have a new president and a new attorney general, Trump and Jeff Sessions. All Jeff Sessions has to do is remove the gag order from the FBI informant. Say, you know what? You're not going to be prosecuted. You're not going to be fined. You're not going to be bankrupted. You're not going to go to prison. Tell us everything. Go on the record, in public, go. Tell us everything that happened, because he has documents, he has secret recordings, he has email intercepts, he has everything, okay? The smoking gun and then some. Yesterday, the Senate Intelligence Committee, led by Chuck Grassley, said they are now opening an official investigation into the Hillary-Russia bribery scandal. Chuck Grassley asks Attorney General Jeff Sessions, he was yesterday testifying on a range of issues in front of the committee. Chuck Grassley asks Attorney General Sessions, Attorney General Sessions, former Senator Sessions, well, we can't trust Rod Rosenstein to conduct this investigation because he's essentially investigating himself. He sat on the board, the agency that approved the sale of Uranium-1, and moreover, he's the guy when he was then an assistant official at the FBI. He is the one that oversaw the entire investigation. So, of course, he's complicit in all of this. He knew about the bribery. He knew about the racketeering. He knew about the extortion. He knew about the corruption. He knew about the illegal criminality, and he deliberately did nothing. So, of course, and by the way, he had a legal obligation to tell Congress, and he didn't. As Mueller had a legal obligation to tell Congress and didn't. So now their necks are on the line. Their credibility is on the line. Their careers are on the line. So Chuck Grassley makes the ultimate point, saying you can't have Rosenstein oversee this investigation because he's basically investigating himself. You can't have that, can you? Listen now to Jeff Sessions' stunning response. Roll it, Jared.
I think I know why you're probably reluctant to go into some detail on that, but I would like to remind you that Deputy Attorney Rosenstein directly supervised the criminal case when he was U.S. Attorney in Maryland I don't think it would be proper for him to supervise a review of his own conduct, do you?
It would be his decision. He's a man of integrity and ability. If he feels that he has a inability to proceed with any investigation, it would be his responsibility to make that determination, and should consult, as I told you I would, and as I have done, with the senior ethics people at the department.
Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. I've played this clip in my mind, and at home when I was doing research, obviously, show prep, I think about 4 or 5 times. What Sessions is saying is, let Rosenstein investigate himself. I'm not going to take, no. Hey, look, you want to look into this? You want the Justice Department to look into this? Yeah, Rosenstein. If he wants to look into it, let him look into it. And Grassley's basically saying, whoa, you can't. He's investigating himself. You can't have that. Hey, if he wants to investigate himself, let him investigate himself. I'm starting to think, this is the equivalent. I said this to Jared when we talked about, because Brittany's off today. We're doing our show prep. And I said, look, Jared, this is what this is the equivalent of. I'm going to come into work. I'm going to shoot everybody. I'm going to shoot everybody. And then I'm going to say, I'm investigating myself. I'm looking into the shooting and I'm investigating myself. And you know what? After a couple of months, there's just no conclusive evidence that Jeff Kuhner walked in here to WRKO and just shot everybody. There's just no evidence. It's just, just hasn't been proven. Hasn't reached that threshold that we think this is a case that we can prosecute. Sorry. You want the crooks to investigate themselves? I am seriously starting to think that somebody has gotten to Jeff Sessions. I really do. I think you have Chuck Grassley, who's now serious about investigating this. You've got shoes dropping everywhere. You've got the scandal now getting bigger and bigger and bigger. All roads from Russia lead to Hillary Clinton. You've got Mueller now implicated. You've got Rosenstein implicated. You've got Holder implicated. Maybe this goes all the way to Obama. And Jeff Sessions doesn't want to pull the trigger? In fact, he's basically now trying to cover up for Rosenstein. I'm starting to wonder, in all honesty, I don't know if he's just chicken. I don't know if he's just spineless and he doesn't have the stomach, the cojones, as the Spanish would say, to actually go after these Hillary gangsters, the Hillary crime syndicate, or if the deep state has something compromising on him. I honestly don't know. But I am telling you, for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's time for Sessions to go. He recused himself. That opened the door to Mueller being named special counsel. And now when I think there is overwhelming evidence that Mueller himself has disgraced himself, he should be fired. Rosenstein should be fired. All of these people should be fired. And I'm going to say this to President Trump. I'm really being dead serious. I don't have a law background. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have a legal background. You don't need to technically be Attorney General. If nobody else will do the job, if everybody in Washington is compromised, I'm not kidding. If the swamp, everybody in that swamp is somehow compromised or swimming in that swamp, fire Sessions, hire me. I swear to God, I'll do it. God is my witness. I'll do it. I'll fire Mueller. I'll fire Rosenstein. I'll send Hillary to jail. I'll indict Hillary. I'll indict Eric Holder. If need be, I'll indict the dear leader himself. Honest to God. I will. I'm serious. If nobody else has the guts to do it, I'll do it. Now, here is what's even more dangerous. The Russians still control the uranium. Remember, these are the same Russians that the liberal media tells us. This is the same Vladimir Putin. The biggest threat to America. They're sabotaging our democracy. We're at war with Russia. This is now the greatest evil of the world. And you're having them possess strategic uranium reserves of America? To this day, they still have it? The New York Times has now reported The deal, in theory, would not allow Russia to ship uranium out of the United States. They've broken the deal. There is yellow cake literally missing. It has been sent to God knows where. North Korea, Iran, we don't know. My friends, let me ask you, should Jeff Sessions be fired? Is it time for Sessions to go? If you believe the answer is yes, text the letter A to 680 680. If you believe the answer is no, text the letter B to 680 680. You can vote online at WRKO.com. The poll question, as always, sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services. Your call, reaction, next. 126 here on the great WRKO. Okay, my friends, breaking right now. Trump has now weighed into this growing Hillary-Russia scandal at a sitting beside Puerto Rican governor, the governor of Puerto Rico at the White House at a press conference. He was asked about Russian interference in the election. He said, no. The real scandal is Hillary and uranium. Quote, that's your story. That's your real Russia story. The real story is uranium. And he's 1,000% correct. And so my question to you now is this. Why won't Jeff Sessions fire Rod Rosenstein? Instead, he wants Rosenstein to essentially investigate himself, his buddy Mueller, when they were all complicit in allowing Hillary to sell our country's uranium reserves to the Russians as she was bribed with hundreds of millions of dollars. We are looking now at potentially one of the greatest cover-ups in American history. 617-266-6868 is the number. Lines are loaded. Jim in Medford. Go ahead, Jim.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
I don't know if you remember, but I had called in a long time ago when he first recused himself, and I just said he's part of the swamp, and everybody said, oh, no, we think he's okay. But I really think he is compromised. That's the only thing I could think of, He's maybe got a boyfriend or they got some pictures of him or something. I don't know, with some little kids. Who knows? I wouldn't put anything past the Clintons.
Jim, I got to tell you, look, I don't want to smear this guy because I've known, not that I know him personally, but I got to say, for years, he was the only senator to have endorsed Trump during the election. On immigration, on the wall, on trade. I got to say, the guy was great. His staff, I'm just being honest with you. His staff, top notch. So, that's why many Trump supporters, when he was first named as Attorney General, like, this guy, he's an America First guy all the way. Hell, he was America First before America First. But when I see him now, how he doesn't want to go after Hillary, he refuses to go after Robert Mueller, how he recuses himself from everything, and then that comment yesterday, where you got Grassley telling him, hey, look, you got to investigate this. It's the mother of all scandals. So, and you can't have Rosenstein because he's implicated. He oversaw the FBI investigation, and he knew Hillary was on the take, and he did freaking nothing. Hell, he signed off on the uranium deal. And Sessions basically says, no, let him investigate himself. That's his business. That's not my business.
He's a man of integrity and ability. If he feels that he has a inability to proceed with any investigation, it would be his responsibility to make that determination.
That's like going to Al Capone. I'm not kidding. He's saying, Al, investigate yourself. Al's a great character. Al will tell us if he's a mafiosi or not. What? My friends, there is now blood in the water. And my question to you is this. Do you think Hillary will go to jail? Should she go to jail? And should Mueller, Rosenstein, all of them be fired? 617-266-6868. Your calls. Let's take it first to Evan Heidenrich in the newsroom. 1:36 here on the great WRKO. Okay, my friends, we are scheduled to have a newsmaker interview with Senator Rand Paul at 2:15, tentatively. He's agreed to come on. However, he may have to be pulled away at the last moment for a vote on the Senate floor. So that's why I haven't been teasing it too much, because fingers crossed, hopefully he'll show up. I will definitely ask him about the Russia-Hillary uranium bribery scandal. And a lot of other questions. But first, it's time for the WRKO box office to open. So be the sixth caller right now, 617-266-6868. Win a pair of passes for Witches Woods in Westfield, Mass. That's the sixth caller right now, 617-266-6868, to win a pair of passes for Witches Woods in Westfield, Mass, if you want to win. The poll question of the day, sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services. Should Jeff Sessions go? Should Jeff Sessions essentially be fired or let go as Attorney General? If, like me, I think this guy, for whatever reason, has become neutered, I think he's become pretty much useless, yes, send him away, get a real cop, and have somebody really go after the criminals. Text the letter A to 680-680. If, like a lot of people, hey, Jeff, he's a good guy, honorable man, man of principle. You know, you're not going to get better than Jeff Sessions. No, keep him as AG. Text the letter B to 680-680. As always, you can vote online at WRKO.com. Jared, what are the poll results thus far?
93% say Sessions gotta go, to only 7% who don't think he should lose his job.
Jared, I'm just curious. I know you're sitting in for Brittany today in terms of running the board. Brittany doesn't like Jeff Sessions. How about you? Are you an A or a B?
I think Jeff Sessions should decide whether he wants to fire himself, because apparently that's what we do now. No, honestly, the Russian recusal thing, now this, I mean, what more dirt do you need on a guy to say, hey, buddy, this stupid investigation that's taking up taxpayer money that has, like, zero facts and evidence, maybe you're the guy who covered up the other one, you gotta go. I mean, just fire them. Unrecuse yourself or don't, because it doesn't matter. Yeah, he's ineffective, I think would be the word.
You nailed it, Jared. 617-266-6868. Look, we need a sheriff in there. We need a cowboy in there. We need somebody who's going to clean house. I don't need Howdy Doody as the Attorney General. Okay, listen now to Trump. This is now going to give this scandal a big push. Let's see now if the mainstream media bites. So, Trump is with the governor of Puerto Rico. He's asked again about, Russian collusion, meddling in the campaign, blah, 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 blah. Listen now to his answer. Roll it, Brittany.
For whatever reason, and a lot of people understand what those reasons may be, I think that's your Russia story. That's your real Russia story. Not a story where they talk about collusion, and there was none. It was a hoax. Your real Russia story is uranium and how they got all of that uranium, a vast percentage of what we have. That is, to me, one of the big stories of the decade, not just now, of the decade. The problem is that the mainstream media does not want to cover that story because that affects people that they protect. So they don't like covering that story. But the big story is uranium and how Russia got 20% of our uranium. And frankly, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And it's a disgrace that the fake news won't cover it. It's so sad. Thank you very much.
Now look, I agree with him 1,000%. But on this one, Mr. President, with all due respect, I have to say this. You're the president now. You got the Attorney General. That's your guy. Now, all he has to do, very simply, Jeff Sessions, all he's got to do, literally, I'm not kidding, literally, pick up the phone, I'm not kidding, dial 7 digits, whatever, and say, the FBI informant, take off the gag order. Just remove it. He can go to Chuck Grassley's committee, whatever, to Congress, and spill the beans. Show us all the documents, all the emails, play all the secret recordings, show all of the damning evidence. And what, the mainstream media is not going to cover that? And even if they don't, it's irrelevant. Then you order your attorney general to say, she's got to go. She's got to go. First of all, Rosenstein's got to be fired because he was implicated. He knew that Hillary was being bribed. He knew that the Russians had bought her and Bill Clinton, and they still sold our atomic reserves, our uranium reserves, to the Russians. And now, by the way, it's beautiful because now you flip the whole Russia narrative right onto the mainstream media and the Dems. I would just use their own words now. I'm not kidding. Turn the guns of the left on the left. Vladimir Putin's the biggest freaking enemy we have. That's what you guys have been saying for a year. Putin, 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 Russia. We're at war with Russia. That's what you guys are saying. They're the most dangerous power on the planet, according to what you guys are saying. And Hillary gave them 20% of our strategic uranium reserve, which they still hold to this day? Whoa. For $145 million? Whoa. Millions sent directly to Bill Clinton? Whoa. And Rosenstein sat on the board that approved it? And so did Robert Mueller? And so did Eric Holder? And on top of all of that, you guys then threatened the FBI informant? The Obama administration did, and said, you're going to go to jail and we're going to bankrupt you if you open your big mouth? You threatened him. That's obstruction of justice, buddy. She violated the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. She could go to prison, I'm not kidding, for the rest of her life. You're the president. Well, I mean, with all due respect, this is not something you punt to the New York Times or CNN. You've got the power, you've got the DOJ, you've got the Attorney General, and if Sessions doesn't have the guts, if I'm trying to use it, I can't use a word I really want to say. If he doesn't have the stones, let's put it that way, if he doesn't have the stones to do it, get another AG. You can't find one that's not corrupt in Washington? Mr. President, 617, I was almost going to give my cell phone, 617-266-6868. You give me a call. I'll go up to Washington tomorrow. I swear, you swear me in, I'll fire everybody. God is my witness. God as my witness. I'll fire Mueller. I'll fire Rosenstein. I'll indict Holder. I'll indict Hillary. I'll indict Bill Clinton. And if the evidence leads, I'll indict freaking Barack Hussein Obama. And let's drain that swamp once and for all. Give me a call, Mr. President. 617-266-6868. Let's go to Andy in Scituate.
Hello.
Andy, how are you?
Good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good.
I don't know. I know they make a 2-barrel shotgun, but I don't know if they make 3-barrel shotguns. These people should be all lined up against the wall and have everything they own taken away from them and charge them, number one, and most of all, with the treason charge. Selling the uranium, they knew what that stuff is. I have a son of mine that's only like about 12 years old. He knows what uranium is for. They make bombs with that there, don't they? Yeah, that's right. That's one of the ingredients. Number 2 is stealing government money. Number 3, abuse of authority. And number 4, turn them in all to the IRS and have everything they own frozen until the IRS gets done with it.
Andy, you're 1,000% correct. Look, let me tell you, and thank you for this. Look, and this is what, I knew this was a big story, because we're not talking about Peter Schweitzer, which is a great book, don't get me wrong, but Clinton Cash, where he documents this, or the New York Times, to be fair, they did some good investigative reporting, or the London Times, or the LA Times, where, you know, you can see the evidence, it's there. Now we're talking FBI, FBI informant, FBI who was inside the Russian nuclear industry, who witnessed the bribes, the racketeering, the extortion, who says Hillary and Bill were directly implicated and involved, who worked under Rosenstein, who worked ultimately under Mueller, who was then FBI director, who then wants to testify to Congress and is literally threatened and prevented? Guys, come on. This makes Watergate pale. I'm not kidding. This makes Watergate pale in comparison. So if Trump wants to destroy the Russia narrative completely, to destroy Mueller, to really gut the swamp, to send Hillary and Bill Clinton to prison, I mean, to demolish the mainstream media, this, you know what this is? This is potentially the Harvey Weinstein scandal, but in Washington. A nuclear neutron bomb that you can set off if you want. Now, don't complain. Look, I'm with you. I agree. The mainstream media doesn't want to touch it. I agree with Trump. Don't get me wrong. But, Mr. President, you're not a bystander now. You're the guy calling the shots. Pull the trigger, baby. Let's go to Paul in Dorchester. Go ahead, Paul.
Comrade Jeff.
Paul, how are you?
What's the matter with you, Comrade Jeff? They are not the biggest political foe we have, Comrade Jeff. I told you to tell Dmitry Medvedev that you'll be more flexible next time. Jeff, this is amazing to me, right? Every time they bring up Russian colluding, President Trump should say, hey, the 1980s want their foreign policy back. The Cold War's been over for 20 years. Didn't we hear that in the 2012?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I mean, President Trump told me that he was going to be winning. We're going to be winning so much that we're going to be tired of winning. But this guy right now is playing like prevent defense to the deep state. You know what prevent defense gets you? It prevents you from winning. So he needs to step forward and show how serious he is and prosecute these people. You know, it's unbelievable to me that they're buying and they're spading and neutering every politician that we have over there. Anybody that could prosecute them has been probably been threatened, Jeff. Well, I don't know what to do. I saw the 60-minute DEA on opioids, what they did to Joe Ranasisi. I mean, it's unbelievable what they can do right now. The biggest sheriff in town that keeps us from the opioid epidemic has been spaded and neutered. That's what's happening.
Paul, you're completely right. And look, this is why, thank you, by the way, for that call, as always. This is why I'm now against the Patriot Act. I think ultimately now, when you look at the consequences, it's been very bad in terms of our civil liberties. And I think the NSA spying, that's where I have to say Bush and Obama really screwed us. Both of them, to be fair. Obama in particular, because he really expanded it. But still, it began under Bush. Because what we now know, and again, thanks to WikiLeaks, okay, who I think, by the way, is going to be vindicated on all of this, that they have been using it to spy on Americans, and in particular to spy on Congress, members of the administration. And so I think they have been, I know, they have been spying on the ruling class so that if anybody wants to break away, if anybody wants to dissent, they can hold something against them. And look, I don't want to impugn Jeff Sessions. I don't. Maybe he's just ultimately not up for the job. Maybe he's just too nice a guy. Maybe he's just not a tough guy. You need a tough guy. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I'm starting to openly wonder, out loud, in all honesty, do they have something on him? Because if you're not going to pull the trigger on this, you're not going to pull the trigger on anything. Now, even forget going after Hillary. Okay, just put that off the table. Even if you want Rosenstein, just for the sake of argument, even put that off the table. I don't know why you would, but put that off the table. How do you not lift the gag order on the FBI informant? The gag order was from Holder. It was from Obama's administration. You don't have to uphold the gag order. So you got a whistleblower who knows everything, who wants to spill the beans. He wants to go to Congress. He wants to tell the American people the truth. Just lift the gag order. Let him speak. So if Sessions doesn't do that, then you know he's compromised. And if I'm Trump, my response to that is 2 words. You're fired. Mr. President, 617-266-6868. Give me a call. President Trump, give me a call. I'll take Sessions' job. I'll be AG. I'll fire him. I'll indict him, every single one of them. I'll send everyone to prison, and I'll fire everybody. Just give me a call. I'm waiting.
Jeff, can I just give a PSA out there? Debbie Harry running on the beach. Yowza. If you have YouTube, check out this video. Amazing.
Joe in Arlington. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, Jeff, I've been listening to you for a long time. Thanks for carrying the torch.
Oh, my pleasure. Welcome, Joe. Welcome.
I appreciate it. I got a really quick thought here. When somebody calls, if the president's going to be calling somebody like the widow of a fallen soldier, do they get a forewarning that they're going to be getting a call from the president, do you think?
Yes.
Okay. So was it just a coincidence that congressperson happened to be in the car with that poor widow? I mean, can't we see that this was a huge setup?
And the commissioner of Miami-Dade County and all these other officials that were there in the limo with her. I don't think so, Joe. I don't think so.
You know, so really quick, I'll wrap this up. It makes me think this is the shiny object. You have probably the largest crime in political history in the United States happening. And all of a sudden, this just happened to divert everybody's attention. But here's my last thought. With what you were saying about Attorney Sessions, we all know that Donald Trump is a very smart person. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So he's watching, and this is my theory. I really believe that he's plugged into people like you, people like Hannity, and he knew that this was coming. So I really believe that those people that know what's happening have told the president, Mr. President, this is on the horizon, hold your fire, and when this breaks, it's going to break. Now, if Jeff Sessions isn't acting, there has to be a reason for that. So the president would have had to call him in and say, Jeff, what the heck? What are you doing? I mean, he's got to know. And if this is a linchpin for me, if they use that gag order to hold this story, then the fix is in. And then I think you're going to see the president go counterpunching like we've never seen him. What do you think?
Oh, Joe, no, you know what? It's very interesting. Because I think now, remember, they've had these arguments in private where a few times he's wanted to fire Sessions, right? A few times. He's come close, on the brink. I think this is almost like a trap, like a test. I guess a test is a better word. Let's see now what Jeff does. Let's see. Is he going to lift the gag order on the FBI informant? Because if he doesn't, then I know Jeff's in the tank. Then I can go to Jeff and credibly say, because we're just talking about lifting a gag order. Got an FBI informant. He wants to spill the beans. You're not going to let him spill the beans? Jeff, you're involved in a cover-up. I can't have that in my Justice Department. You got to go. Then that gives him the grounds, the legitimate, credible grounds to get rid of Jeff Sessions and put in a real attorney general. Okay, my friends, I just got the text. It's been confirmed. We're going to have Rand Paul on at 2:15, big newsmaker interview. And George W. Bush, it just broke, trashes Trump. That story next.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 2 o'clock.